All right, all right, all right. I'm gonna have to just go for it. Welcome. Welcome. Come on in, parents. I would love to chat with you. Last night I watched the news, read the news, which is not something that I always enjoy doing because the news is not always the type of news that I want to receive. And so it brought me to be with you today. Okay. Pardon my background, Instagram, but I would love for you to come in. This is very, very important. The title is Rehearse School Rebellion. I probably should have put a title on my live. Rehearse School Rebellion. My goodness. I'm just going to have to say it. Okay. So step into the room and I'm going to have to say what has to be said. So yesterday, scrolling on the interweb, right? On the internet, I read an article and I'm going to share with you all. And I want to prepare you, if you're watching this live, that this live is really to share with you as a parent, as an intentional parent, how to ensure that your child has access to the resources that they need and that they deserve to ensure success. And so this topic is really challenging because this story is sensitive. And I want to respect that it's sensitive. And anybody who wants to chat with me after, please feel free. But I had to come on and share because I am in the lane of education. And this has to do with a young boy, and he was at school. So many times as parents, we trust our teachers and our school system and adults who are in authority. And so when we take them to school, we trust that the people that they are interacting with are going to have the best intentions. But I want you to know, hey Leah, hey Casey, FAA. I want you to know that it's really important for us to know that the school system is comprised of human beings, and human beings um, have to use their best judgment. And in this case, it is a case of poor judgment being used. Okay. And if I know I'm beating around the bush, it really just is a difficult topic, but I couldn't not address it. It's directly in the lane of why I do what I do, why I started supplemental education, why I'm running Parent Plus, why I am activating, empowering, repositioning parents to be in the driver's seat of their children's education. And yes, it's Labor Day. And yes, it's a holiday. And yes, I got this blazer on. Looking like I'm somebody's reporter. This was not on purpose. It's just my Labor Day outfit ain't my going live outfit. You know what I mean? But I wanted to get on here to let you know that you have all of the permission that you need to rehearse rebellion with your child. Rehearse school rebellion. Rehearse rebellion against authority when authority, the people in position, power, and authority are not making good decisions. And my stomach is twisted up because I know that there can be implications with that instruction. It could come across however it comes across, but trust and believe that you have all rights, authority, responsibility to teach your children how and when to go against what an adult is asking them to do if it's not in their best interest. I struggled. I went back and forth with using the word rebellion, but here's what rebellion means. It means opposition to one in authority or dominance. So it's an appropriate word. I'm going to read bits and pieces of the story that came across my desk yesterday, and then we will jump right into it. Yes, baby.
That was, that was a gobbler.
That was a gobbler?
That was a gobbler hitting Miles Morales.
Oh, you tell him do not hit Miles Morales. That is not okay. You go tell him I said that. We love Spider-Man around here. We just love Spider-Man. All right, so here is the headline. Boy 12 dies after he was forced to run in gym class in extreme heat, family says. The student died after suffering a medical emergency in gym class, the school district said. Whew. Okay, so I read this yesterday and, of course, cried. Of course, posted and, of course, prayed. Not in that order. But the main thing that I wanted to share with you, the parent who is busy, who is intentional, who is an entrepreneur, high achieving, who's an educator, homeschool mom, homeschool dad, is that we get to teach our children right from wrong. And it's a very tough lesson, but we get to tell them and teach them when to say yes and no. And by no means am I misplacing any responsibility, because it is very clear by the title, and as you read the article and read the details, where responsibility lies. But I would be out of my mind if I did not come and share with you what I took away and feel like is very necessary for my community of Parent Plus. I feel like it's very, very necessary for me to publicly and broadly state that there is an opportunity and there is a time where we teach our children how to say no to those in authority. Um, especially it especially let me just talk to the people in authority who know Jesus. Like, especially us who know Jesus, who operate with a different set of standards and a different understanding of authority. It's imperative. It can be Jesus. It can be life or death. It can be life or death. So again, I'm going to read the headline and then I'm going to give you guys just a rundown of the article. And you're going to leave this with 3 ways to teach your child, to rehearse with your child. Yes, baby.
It's a goblin hitting the Spider-Man again.
Okay. Do you want to turn it off?
No.
Okay.
I still like it.
You still like it. So you're gonna leave with 3 ways to rehearse rebellion, school rebellion. Like, rehearse saying no, rehearse being okay with, I got in trouble with the teacher and I asked them to call my mom. I didn't engage any further. Okay. It is okay, and we need to be able to teach our children. It could absolutely save their lives, but also it's a skill to learn. And the skill that is developed is active listening, empathy, and understanding an authority figure's point of view, but also having respectful communication, even in a disagreement. It's a valuable life skill. Let's think about how many times we had to disagree, but we found a way to disagree, and it might have been with someone in authority. And the way that we go about the disagreement can can impact the outcome. Okay, so I hope you're all tracking with me. If you're still with me, hey, good morning. If you're still with me, here's where we go. I feel so official in this jacket, y'all, but I didn't know if I wanted my shoulders out on my life. But here we go. Okay, here is the article. I'm just going to skim through. Okay. This is from today. This was posted September 1st of this year. Okay. So a few days ago at 3:29 p.m. I like to share those details because I love people to go back and check facts. Like, the worst thing is to hear something and just go off of what you heard. Go dig into it, look into it for yourself if you are interested. A 12-year-old boy in Southern California passed out and died after he was forced to run in high temperatures at school during physical education class, his family says. This was in PE. As I scroll down, the young child's the young child's aunt says, my nephew was told to run because he failed to dress properly for PE. She says other students said he began to feel sick. He was reaching out to the teacher, saying he needed some water. He said he couldn't breathe. He was telling the kids this as he realized the adults weren't paying him attention. The aunt said that her nephew passed out. Okay. I'm scrolling down, so you feel free. You can reference this. I'm scrolling down for the sake of this live and the purpose in sharing the 3 ways that you can make sure to rehearse school rebellion with your child. Due to a medical emergency on one of the campuses, this is what the school is saying happened. And they didn't provide any further details about the child's death when asked for various reasons, I'm sure. I provide, who is this? Who is this? Who is this? Okay, so the principal of school said, I can provide this information to empathize to our students and sorry, to emphasize to our students and families that if ever a student were to demonstrate a need for attention, we will respond promptly to their needs and we will contact the family. So she says she can confirm that the student was on campus when they showed signs of physical distress and that the teaching staff took prompt action to address the student and called emergency services who were on the campus within minutes. She goes on to say, or the principal goes on to say, this is a time of great sorrow for the entire community to assist one another through the devastating loss. Our mental health team is providing grief counseling and resources to students and staff. Okay. The family has three other children and they're trying to obviously come to terms with this devastating reality. This is the words of the article. So I want to share with you, and I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I want you to chew on these words, let it marinate, pass this along. But it is okay for us to hold space for this family. Again, responsibility is very clear and evident in this case. And I want us to take something away from it so that we can rehearse the words to teach our children when the person or people or group in authority does not have their best interests at heart or is not making the best decision or the decision is questionable and they're uncomfortable with it. So, again, this child did not have the proper clothes for gym class. And there's not a lot of details, but he was then told to run outside in 90-degree weather. He started feeling sick and passed out. Emergency care was called and provided, and then he was pronounced dead. That's a lot. That's a lot. And the main thing, the main reason why I'm here is because this happened at school. And I'm sure that the parents trusted the adults at school, the adults in authority, the people in authority to make the very best decision on behalf of their child. And that does not seem to be the case here. So, what could we take? What could we learn? I want to tell you that there are three ways that you can teach your child to go against what an authority figure is saying. And again, it can be life or death, it can be that deep and that serious. And oftentimes, children want to do the best thing, and we've taught them to respect and to follow directions of authority. I've been very, very, very aware in my language that I am not always telling Josiah, do what your teacher says, listen to your teacher, although that is what I want him to do. I really focus my language on make good decisions, make good choices. When your teacher asks you to, what are you going to say? What are you going to do? When your teacher asks you to use the restroom, what are you going to do? What are you going to say? And we had this back and forth as we are potty training with, okay, Miss Such and Such asked you to use the restroom. What are you going to say? Okay, I'll try. That's what I'm teaching him. That's the rehearse. Say, okay, I'll try. And then I want you to go try. Okay, I'll try. I want you to go try because we are potty training. We are learning. Now, when he's 7 years old, 8 years old, and the teacher's like, go use the bathroom, he will be able to judge whether or not he needs to or wants to or whatever. But okay, I try is is what we have rehearsed. Okay, so number one, the way that we can teach our child to go against authority in the cases and instances where it's appropriate is to be teaching and rehearsing with them polite and assertive language. That might sound like, I'm uncomfortable with what you asked me to do. Can you please call my mom? Now, there's a different vocabulary that might be used with a different child, with a younger child versus an older child. But stop, I'm uncomfortable, call my mom is something we could teach our 2 and 3 year olds. Developmentally, we have to get them aware of, okay, we're not just using that because you just don't want to do what your teacher said do, but we're rehearsing the cases in which that is appropriate. I'm uncomfortable with what you asked me to do. Can you please call my mom? Can you please call my dad? I think that is absolutely 100% reasonable for us to teach our children to use polite and assertive language when rehearsing school rebellion. Like, We're not going to assume that the school system or the school or the teacher or the principal, anyone in authority who's not us, knows better than we know. And so when we are teaching and preparing our children, we have to prepare them that there is going to be a time when, believe it or not, there might be a time when they use this language on us and they say, Mom, Dad, um, I'm uncomfortable with what you asked me to do. Like, I'm not saying we've done this, but if you've ever asked your child to say that they're younger than they are so that you can get into wherever at a discount or for free, I'm not saying I've done it. I thought about it. But, if it's like 3 and older, get in free. I mean, 3 and younger getting free, and your child just turned 4, and you're like, "Hey, say you're 3." Like, what would it sound like if your 4-year-old was like, "Hey, I'm uncomfortable with lying." "No, daddy, that's lying." "No, mom, I don't want to lie." Like, we can set the example of how to politely and assertively use language to disagree. So it again could sound like, I'm uncomfortable with what you asked me to do. Can you call my mother? Can you call my father? Can you call my emergency contact? Can you call my brother? Can you call my uncle? Whoever the go-to is. Asking your children or preparing them to be able to have that conversation. You could also teach them. So that's number one. What do y'all think about number one? Look, I'm about to look on Facebook. Tell me what you think about number one. Like, is that something that you could go over with your child? Could you rehearse that? Could you teach them that? Would you be comfortable? Um, yeah, you remember when family members lied about your age. Yeah, it's something small, right? It's happened to us, or we've seen it done, but it's like, is that really what is that teaching our children about when it's okay to do what an authority figure says do that we know isn't right? Okay, mom and dad told me it is wrong to lie, but now an authority figure is asking me to lie. And this can get even deeper. I'm not going to go into it because, again, this could be very, very sensitive, but it can go even deeper into how we set our children up to interact with people who are in authority. It's okay to tell them, stop. That makes me uncomfortable. Stop. I don't like that. And the thing that is challenging for me as a parent of a very assertive, a very vocal 3-year-old. If you've ever met Josiah, you know exactly how he feels. You can understand exactly what he said. He will use more words than was even necessary to communicate. And I have to respect if he's saying stop or no. Um, when it's not me, how do I want the adult to respond? How do I want the adult to respond when it's not me? And so I have to rehearse and I have to practice that. So if he says stop, even if there's, crust in his nose, it's like, I'm gonna have to come back to it in a moment, or I'll have to show him in the mirror, hey, um, you sure we don't want to get that? We just have to really, really think about the fact that what we are doing at home and the example that we are setting at home when it comes to an authority figure in our child's life, it can have an impact when they are not in our presence, when they're at school or when they're at the park or when they're out and about. Okay, so the first point is teach your children and rehearse being polite and using assertive language. And that comes from you too. If you've asked your children to stop, sometimes Josiah wants to play or horseplay, and I have to be polite and assertive. Hey, baby, I love you. I have asked you to stop putting your fingers up my nose. So please stop. You know, it's again, it can be uncomfortable until we have developed the habit of doing this. I've taught stop. Yes. So you taught your daughter to tell people to stop. I do not like that. And even the rest of that sentence, and she's 2, right? So stop. I do not like that. Anybody that you're trusting who's in authority, who is watching your child, who is caring for your child should hear stop. I do not like that. And the response should be that they stop. Even if you need to call me, even if I need to come to wherever or whoever needs to come, like stop. I do not like that. It's very, very clear. And we have to respect our children from birth, right? We have to respect that a 2-year-old says, stop. I do not like that. And we have to stop. We have to learn that there are boundaries. So as I'm sharing these 3 tips, I want you to plug into a scenario that might be true in your child's life. Maybe they're going to camps, or they're playing at a friend's house, or maybe at school, or they're with families for your family for a holiday. Like these conversations need to happen in advance. I want them to happen on this live, so that they happen in advance and not as a response or reaction. And if you're like, Cass, this is a lot of good information, but it's a lot to take in right now. Guess what I'm doing this month? I'm offering 100 discovery calls. So we can sit down and figure out, do you need more support? Do you need the community? Do you need the coaching? Do you need a resource in order to empower you and make sure that you're in your position as a parent? I'm 100% committed to 100 discovery calls this month, and the first one could be with you. All you got to do is comment, call me. Okay? And I'll call you. Slide into the DM, say, call me. And I'll call you. I'll reach out. I'll respond. All right. Number 2 is offering alternatives. I like this. I like this as a response because it's not a simple rejection to authority. It's kids offering an alternative, a compromise, something that is aligned with whatever the concerns are. It shows maturity, it shows a willingness to work. And so, this is something I would expect more so from a middle school or high school student, not so much from elementary or younger, because there is a certain level of thinking, understanding the authority figure's point of view and perspective and their role and responsibility, but also inner connected to how I am feeling, what I'm not comfortable with, and then using that to find a compromise. Like, those are a lot of high level skills. I would not expect this from elementary or younger. I wouldn't expect it. Not saying that it can't happen. I would say begin having the conversations with your elementary child, but and your preschooler. But this is something I would expect. This is something I would want to see practiced by my middle school child. So there could be things like saying, I see your point, but could we try? Right. And you know that your children do this anyway. Like, no ice cream after dinner. I see your point, mom, but could I have a popsicle? Like, they're practicing these things already. And so our response to them practicing rebellion, going against authority, is really important. You could teach them the language of, would it be okay if I? So, a teacher, authority figure, someone has asked them to do something that they are truly uncomfortable with, or that it does not align with their values or what you've taught them, right from wrong, their morals. Could they say, would it be okay if I call my mom to see if? Come on, invite your parent in. Would it be okay if I wait to see what my parents think about fill in the blank? Would it be okay if I ask that we wait till my parents get here? So that is, again, for anybody who is in authority, for any adult who is supervising or instructing, coaching, leading, teaching, managing, working with your child, those words should be an alarm to take a step back, reassess. Maybe what's being asked is not appropriate, or maybe you just need a pause to wait for a parent to arrive. I would much, much prefer that a teacher, again, an authority figure, a family member, even wait to make sure we're on the same page. And honestly, you could be proactive in sharing some of these things with those who are supervising your children. So, I've asked Josiah, this is an example. I've asked Josiah to call me if you all decide to change plans. So if he asks to call, please let him use your phone. You know what I'm saying? It's setting up a partnership. It's setting up collaboration. It's setting up trust, honestly, in relationship. And these things are so important, and they're so vitally important for us to teach our children very young. I mean, as soon as they can communicate non-verbally, like even non-verbally, a sleight of the hand. If a child not coming to you when you're like, oh, can I pick her up? Can I pick him up? Like, those are starting to communicate This rebellion, like, you're an authority, you want to hug, I don't want to hug right now. I'm not fooling with you right now. And the best thing that we can do is when our children are showing signs that they're ready to politely, assertively offer alternatives, say no, disagree, that we allow space for them to do that. Safe spaces for them to practice that. If they can't practice that with their parents and their family members, it's going to be very challenging for the practice to be out and about, for the practice to be, we have to rehearse it. We have to start at home. If you're and this is a great question you could ask your kids. What do you do when your teacher asks you to do something you don't want to do? What do you do when your teacher asks you to do something you don't want to do? Some kids may say, I just do it. Some kids may say, I don't do it. Some kids may say, I don't know. It depends on what it is. And that allows you to have a deeper conversation. Okay, well, what if it's something that is right and that you need to do, but you don't want to do it? That's a conversation. All right, what if it's something that's wrong? What would be an example of something wrong? And have that conversation. Like, it's important to talk. I can't, communication is key, and communication is key for a healthy relationship. And that does not exclude the relationship between us and our children. So having these conversations early on, communicating early on is really important. It's something that we walk through in my academy plug, which is making sure that you have a clear expectation or goal and vision for success, but also that you communicate that with the people in your child's life, like their teacher, like your spouse, your significant other, like your family member, your parents, aunties and uncles, cousins, and them, that they are on board or that they at least understand that you have a goal and a vision for success, and you are teaching and training and developing and growing with your child in a certain way, and that they are supportive of that. And if they're not supportive, guess what? I'm not saying, I'm not saying nothing. I'm not saying they got to support it. They have to support it. That's your child. That's your baby. You know them best. So you know what's best for them. And you're here on this live getting more information. And you got the ebook, the back to school ebook, and you got the ABCs, the parent's guide to helping your child succeed in school. You have everything that you need. So it is so, hey, it's so important that those people are on board with you. So again, I was saying, all right, how do we teach our children to um how do we rehearse school rebellion? Like, this is just not a concept. Like, okay, when you go to school, make sure you know how to say no to them. Make sure you know how to say no to people in authority. Authority. Why I say authority? Make sure you know how to challenge authority. That's that's that is what I'm saying. Yeah, that is what I'm saying. 10 toes down. That is what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying. How many times, y'all, especially my entrepreneurs, my educator parents, my high earning executives, high achieving parents, there are times when someone in authority is requiring something of you that is not aligned with your morals, with your values, with your vision, and you have to say no. No can look like a nice professional email. No can look like a gentle decline on an offer. No can look like I don't work here no more. No can look a lot of different ways, but we have learned the art of giving a no, and we have to really rehearse that with our children so that it's developmentally appropriate, but it grows as they grow and they develop. That they're using polite and assertive language. That they have alternative. They offer alternatives to exactly what this person might be asking them to do when there's an alternative that still meets the goal. And then last but not least, again, this might be more appropriate for like upper elementary, middle school, high school. But trust and believe your preschool child already does it. Your toddlers do it already. That is to ask questions and seek clarification. And the words or the language, so I gave you language for all 3 points. For point one, polite and assertive language, I'm uncomfortable with what you asked me to do. Or stop, I don't like it. I mean, there's like, Can you please call my mom? And that's like a tag team. You're tapped in so that you can better understand and help your child um, navigate that situation. Number two, here's the language. It could be, I see your point, but what if we, okay? It could be, would it be okay if I, and it's not really asking for permission, but it's creating space to say I'm doing something different. It also could be, I hear you, respect your opinion. I hear you, I respect your authority. However, I would like to call my mom. However, I would like to wait till my parents get here. However, I am not comfortable with doing that. What else could be done? Okay, so there's many layers, there's many ways to be able to get this. The next thing, hello, welcome, welcome. The next point is ask questions and seek clarification. This could sound like, I hear that you said, can you help me understand that? In this case, again, it's sensitive, but in this case in particular, the young child was dressed in inappropriate gym clothes. And because he was not properly dressed, which we know what gym clothes usually are, right? We went to school, or we remember we watched a movie. Think Wonder Years, like a t-shirt, shorts. I was gonna say socks, but who's checking for your socks? shoes, shoes, shorts, or athletic pants, or something like that, and a shirt that you can run in. So appropriate gym clothes really usually have to do with like the amount of material, how comfortable will you be, how efficiently will you be able to be physically active. So if he did not have that, but then was asked to go run outside in 90-degree temperature, number one, I am not at all misplacing responsibility. The responsibility is on the adult. The responsibility is on the PE teacher who has gone to school for, taken tests for, been certified to understand all of the risks and responsibilities that come along with teaching a child physical education. Okay? That's it. And I'm also saying that I have questions. All right? The question is, I heard you say I'm not dressed properly. Help me understand. Um, y'all, it's the emotions behind it. I can't help it. But help me understand. Help me understand might not be. I know I'm not dressed for PE. Can you help me understand what my consequence is? Because even just verbalizing, I'm not dressed properly, or I know I didn't turn in my homework. Can you help me understand um, why it's a zero? Like, why can't I go to my locker and get it? This is real life. I didn't bring it to class. Like, I forgot to bring my homework to class. Can I go get it? Can I bring it to you at lunch? Can I bring it to you in between my next class? Can you help me understand? Can you help me understand? Can you help me understand? And that question, can you help me understand, to an adult who understands their position as a teacher, as an educator, as a trainer, can you help me understand? Um, can open up and allow for really good conversation, a teachable moment. Can you help me understand? Can also trigger an adult, like, who you think I am? I gotta explain. But just let's think about ourselves as parents. Um, I don't understand that, or why. The question why is, can you help me understand? It's just a simplified version. Can you help me understand? Sometimes our kids don't have all that language, so they ask why. Why not? Why? Why not? Some of us are feeling triggered just by the question, just by thinking a child would have the audacity to ask why. Why not? But can I tell you something? That they're just trying to understand, really. Like, help me understand your perspective. I don't understand your perspective. I don't see where you're coming from. I can't. The point is not, it's not coming across. And so, as an adult, as a person in authority, it is our responsibility, it is our privilege to be the giver of information, and to also think, well, is this reasonable? Is it rational? Should I be asking? Is there a different way? Like, it's an opportunity for us to reflect, rethink, pause, and maybe make a different decision, a different choice as well. So I heard you. Can you help me understand? Or why? And let's be honest, in middle school or high school, it may sound like that don't make no sense. It may sound like a child saying that don't make no sense. And that's why we have to rehearse with our children so that they can really stand in their authority over themselves to be able to rebel, ask questions, make different choices, say no, let their no be heard. Like so much good can come from this. And in every single scenario that I gave, um, what needs to change, because let's say that every child had all this information. They know how to politely and assertively use their language to say no or to challenge authority. They know how to offer alternatives to say no and challenge authority. They know how to ask questions and seek clarification to say no. What would then need to change? If every child had this information, and naturally they do. Naturally we do these things. Naturally we assert ourselves. It's not always polite, but naturally we use language to say no. Naturally we try to figure out, well, what can I get and you still get what you need. Naturally, we ask questions and we seek more information. Naturally, our children do these things naturally. But why rehearsal is necessary is for the adults who are not used to it, who are not comfortable with it, who are not expecting it, who are not open to it. And so we have to really pause as parents, as teachers, as people in authorities, grandparents, and uncles and aunties, whoever's catching this live. Like, if this resonates with you, please say it resonates with you because it resonates with me. I have a 3-year-old, and each of these three things he does, and each of these things three things when he does, I've had to retrain myself to accept that this is who I want him to be. This is how I want him to be. This is what we do in my house. You can politely and assertively use your language. You can offer alternatives. You can ask questions and seek clarification. Sometimes what I said is still what I said, but I'm moving forward in love and empathy and understanding. And if there is a way to compromise, if you can get what you want and need at the same time, I don't have to be in the way of that just because I'm your mom, just because I'm your teacher, just because I'm your tutor, just because I'm the principal, just because I'm the superintendent, just because I'm the director, just because I'm the auntie, uncle, grandma, grandpa, cousin, babysitter, leader. Like, these are skills we want our children to know regardless. And I'm so passionate about this because I can see scenarios like this one that played out. Like, I can see these things happening, and that's not fair to the children because it's not them. It's the adults. It's the adults. It's the adults in the way. It's the adults in the way. So, um, pray for this family. Pray for this school community. Um, pray for you. Pray for me. Pray for every parent that we really, every adult, but every parent that we really understand, um, that these are our children and we could teach them to say no. In fact, we need to teach them to say no. We need to teach them to say no. And then we need to teach adults that are in their lives how to respond to the no that they give. I could share 1,000 other scenarios of when it is absolutely appropriate for a child to rebel. I keep using the word rebel because I feel like it has a negative connotation. And so that's why, people are not responsive when a child says no. Oh, he's rebelling. Oh, he's defiant. And in some cases, it is unwarranted. Um, or it is, I shouldn't even say unwarranted. In some cases, it's inappropriate. And so that's a teachable time and a teachable lesson. But in many cases, it is an opportunity. It is an opportunity. There is a reason that there is a no. There is a reason that there is discomfort. There is a reason that there is a lack of understanding. And if we would take our time which is, we've talked about it, being unhurried, being unworried. If we will slow down and take our time, we will be able to really contribute to change for our children. And that's what we're working toward. That's what we want. We have to get outside of ourselves and realize they got to rehearse this thing, because there are going to be times when I want them to feel very comfortable in opposing authority. I mean, almost every great movement that has happened in the world has come through some kind of opposition to what was status quo, what was normal, what was law, um, what authority or a dominating factor said was the right thing to do. Hey, Shay. So it's so, so important, so valuable. I've just talked about how important it is to teach our children how to rebel. Yeah, I had to pause. School rebellion. All right. All right. You got to rehearse it. You have to rehearse it, because there may be a time. Um, how many of you have heard the story of a child who's needed to go to the restroom and the teacher's like, no, you just went. You don't really have to go. You're playing around. And the child is sitting there squirming. And the teacher is like, you don't have to go. Like, sit down, stop wiggling around. It's like, please, can I go? Can I go? Can I go? I know stories of children who've left the classroom and went to the restroom. I know stories of children who have not rebelled, who have followed directions, who are very compliant, who have sat in their seats and peed on themselves and been embarrassed, and parents had to be called, and the teacher felt however the teacher felt. But like, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. And I've been a teacher who's been like, you don't really have to go. I don't know if you really have to go. But I never, ever, 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 ever wanted to prevent a child from having to needing to or doing what they really needed to do, especially physically, especially in that type of circumstance or situation. So we have bathroom passes. I mean, there could be a system for it. Sure, go. Like, I trust you, but one at a time. You go, you go, you go. Like, there's a layer of trust, respect, and mutual trust and mutual respect that we are going to establish and we are going to develop this year. And it starts with you, the parent plus. It absolutely 100% starts with you. So again, I'm giving you this scenario for you to know that, oh my gosh, there is a different way to think about this. There's a different way to think about it. There's a different way to think about how I'm parenting and how that shows up at school. I'm here to help you build a bridge from home to school and back again, because you want your child to be successful. You want them to have purpose. You want them to have the ability to say no and make really good choices. You want them to have healthy relationships with God, with themselves, and with others. You want them in a high satisfying, highly fulfilling, highly paying job and position, because you want them to have financial independence and then have the skills and the knowledge to know what to do with that independence. You want that for your child. I absolutely know you do. 100% know you do. I want that for me and my child. You want that for you. You want that for your child. And so I would love for you to type call me in the chat, in the comments, or in my DM, so that I know to invite you into a 15-minute discovery call where we will get very clear on the way that we can partner together, the way that I can help you get the resources that your child needs. I have a testimonial from a parent I've been working with for a few weeks. And not only did she tell me, she's told others that there is just a difference in her home, in her family, in her child's life because of a decision to get on a discovery call. That's all we did. Got on a discovery call. Okay, what's going on? Okay, here are the ways that I can help you. Let's get plugged in. And the rest is history. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing to know that one decision and one choice to accept support and accept community and accept coaching and accept resources can unlock so much for you and for your family. Because at the same time that you want your child to be successful, it's not at your the sacrifice of you being successful. It's like, I want to be successful. I want my child to be successful. We're all going up. We're going up together. And that's the beautiful thing um, about it. All right. I could keep going. This live was wonderful. So share it with somebody. Those 3 points again, if you are like, whoa, what was the three? Teach your child. This is how you rehearse school rebellion. Be polite and use assertive language. Offer alternatives and ask questions and seek clarification. And when I say rehearse, I literally mean rehearse. I don't mean just tell your child, make sure you're being polite. All right, ask them, can you do something different? Make sure you ask questions because that can go a lot of different ways. I mean, rehearse. I mean, like, okay, when your teacher asks you to go to the restroom, Josiah, what are you going to say? And there's a pause. Okay. I want you to say, okay, I'll try. All right. What will you say? Okay, I'll try. Okay. So your teacher asked you to use the restroom. What will you say? Okay, I'll try. That's what I mean by rehearse, like an actual rehearsal. Like we're walking through the words. Okay. Your teacher says you're getting a 0, an F, because you don't have your paper, but you know that it's in your locker. You left it in your other class. What are you going to say? I want you to say, would it be okay if I get a note to go to that teacher's class and grab it? Would it be okay if you call my mom to verify I did the homework? Would it be okay if I turn it in late for additional credit? So what will you say? Mom, I don't want to do this. This is stupid. What will you say if your teacher, what will you say? I'll say, would it be okay if fill in the blank? Like we are rehearsing, asking questions and seeking clarification. Um, okay, when your teacher says something you don't agree with, you're not saying, why? Man, that's stupid. That don't make no sense. What are you going to say? I'm going to say, I heard you say, can you explain that? Can you help me understand? Like it may be your child may be reluctant, but that's okay cuz as we do know, it can be that serious. It can be that deep. It can be life or death. It can be that important that they know how to properly, appropriately assert themselves. It's important. It's absolutely important. Absolutely important. If you agree and you want to talk, call me in the comments. Call me in the DM. Comment, share this, like this. I would love for these 3 points to be shared. And if every child was empowered to know that when they don't understand, disagree, don't feel comfortable, that they could do these 3 things and they've rehearsed it, they've practiced it, and they're prepared to, the rest is on us. The kids are going to do what the kids do. Again, all these things are natural, right? They're natural. To some extent, they're natural. And we get to rehearse it with them to prepare them for the adults who we are also rehearsing with and preparing for the children. It is a partnership, and the parents get to lead the way. You, my parent plus, get to lead the way. I hope you guys have a fantastic, fantastic day. Share this, comment, and I look forward to hosting a discovery call with you. Bye.